Hey, this is DJ. This is Kaz. We're Buried Above Ground, and this is Speak of the Devil podcast.
From Podcastville, episode 41 into the month of May 2020. Still in quarantine, still on lockdown, but enjoying my Metallica vest tonight for this episode. I have not worn this in forever. Normally I only wear this when go to live events, and that's it. But there are no live events, so I'll wear it here. So just to remember what it was like to go to live shows and enjoy them. But speaking of that, Metallica did their own little Zoom kind of performance online. It was pretty cool. That I don't know if it was Zoom or whatever, but each of them in their house. Like a lot of people are doing collaborations from different parts of the world and doing them online. So pretty cool to see. And news-wise, for like touring and live, Megadeth, still their quote that they said as of this weekend is the June 12th kickoff date is still a go until it's not. So with a lot of states, pulling back restrictions through the month of May, and even some of the more like Ohio here, even through the end of May, June 12th, might be possible. I'd be curious though to know how they're going to do seating, because I think that from what I heard, even though these places are going to be open, they still want to have some form of social distancing, 6 feet apart. And a lot of these tickets, I think, were already pre-sold. So I don't know how you handle that aspect of it. Do some, like, who gets to go and who doesn't? How do you decide that? Because obviously you can't have, 15, 20,000 people like you would normally stacked together. I mean, that just, even if you can do the tour, that doesn't seem like health-wise a good thing to do. So we'll see how they handle that, and maybe that'll be a catalyst for a lot of other artists coming back. Like, how do you do it? I mean, there's gonna be concerts, but there's got to be social distancing theoretically. But I'm sure that when people, especially once they start drinking at a bar, especially like in tiny clubs, and certainly when you're paying big bucks to go to one of these things, it's gonna be hard to. I mean, you might do that at the beginning. when the opening act is up, but whatever artist you're gonna go see, when they're the final ones up and it's 10 o'clock and you've had 3 or 4 beers and you're ready and raring to go, man, you're gonna forget all that stuff. Like, you're gonna be like, hey, I'm here, I'm gonna take my chances, right? So it'll be interesting to see how humanity handles this, because we're already kind of going out and just hanging out with people, whether it's a good idea or not. So I don't know. We'll see how that works. But so far, like Megadeth says, it's a go until it's not. So we'll see how that goes. The last bit of music news would be a new release from Trivium, What the Dead Men Say. Awesome album from Trivium, as always. I like it. I do like it, but I did like the last album a little bit more, just a little bit, because I thought the last album was more riffed out and kind of rhythmic, kind of like bouncy, and a lot of these tracks are super technical, like very extreme cool guitar work and drum work, especially the drum work. I think his name is Alex Bend. That's the drummer, and just the things that he adds to the riffs and everything, it really does. I mean, I know drummers really do help, songs come alive, but man, he's the perfect drummer for Trivium. So they're supposed to be on this Megadeth tour. So I mean, if that still happens, I don't know. I said I wanted to go to it, but I guess now I'm probably gonna have to skip it because I don't trust people in that situation to truly social distance. It won't happen. We'll want a headbang and some sweaty fuckers right next to you banging up again. It ain't gonna work. So, my favorite song off of this new album is Catastrophist. Pretty cool. Just Trivium at their best. So. So that is all the music stuff that we have. Moving on to video games, not too much, but still a couple things that have come out. One of these is actually old. I'm catching up to the game on this, and really, if you want to be real, I'm catching 10 years up to it. Is Phantasy Star Online 2 that's on Xbox Live. I don't know if it's on PlayStation, and maybe it's just on Xbox. I think it actually released like last summer. So I'm like way behind the curve. It just kind of went under my radar. I only mention that because I grew up, when like in the early days of online console gaming, Phantasy Star Online for the Sega Dreamcast was one of the first, games especially for a console, not for a computer, for a console, where you could play this RPG with people, but it had like these arcadey kind of aspects. It was real quick. You play some missions with some random people. You get in, you get out. It wasn't too deep, but it was deep enough with like the outfits and all kind of different stuff you could trade. And what's interesting about Phantasy Star Online 2 is it's free to play, and not like a gimmicky cell phone thing where it's free to like get the base game, but if you want to get anywhere, you're gonna have to dump a bunch of money into it. No. This is like, it really is free to play. I think the idea being like this is kind of a 10-year-old game from the inception that on the original Xbox, that it was released on. Now it's out here, and it's had many revisions. There's updates and everything, and now it plays even better than I ever remember. I don't like the way that I'm playing it now. It's so much more fun to play than it was back then. I mean, and the only caveat to it is it looks like a game from 10 years ago, even on 360 or Xbox One. But it's still fun to play. It's free, totally free. So, if anybody's out there that has nostalgia for that era, like the, Dreamcast Phantasy Star Online, hey, it's free. And we're in lockdown, so something to waste your time with every now and then. And the other game that is also nostalgia that I was on the fence about, for another game from Sega. I love Sega, man. I am a Sega diehard when I was a kid. If there was the 16-bit wars with Sega and Nintendo, or Super Nintendo, I was on the Genesis side, or the Mega Drive for anybody in Europe. But Streets of Rage 4, that's released on all platforms, Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. I thought the cel-shaded graphics, like the Borderland-ish kind of looking graphics, I thought didn't work for me. I kind of like the basic like pixel like look that they've done, and I almost kind of thought like if you're gonna do a Streets of Rage 4, you should kind of do it like Sonic Mania, where it's just basic 2D sprites, but you're just doing like this great version of it. But I was proven wrong, because when you actually play the game, it's very fluid, very fun. You can quick in drop online people, and everything that like made Streets of Rage, that from what I remember, because I came in on 2. I've played 1, but I came in on 2, and certainly 3. But 2 was for me always the amazing one, and this one really harkens back to that. The nostalgia factor is up to 10. The gameplay is there, and when you beat the story mode, you can unlock sprite-based art for your characters, not the whole game. And you can. There's 4 levels that you can actually play from the old Streets of Rage games. I mean, there's so much fan service packed into it that I really feel like these developers they got it right. This is this is truly Streets of Rage 4 as it should have always been. So highly recommend it. It's only $25. You know, if you have if you have nostalgia for those kind of things, you know, like Sega and all those old kind of games, get it. It's fun. So that's all we got for video games, and now we will move to the end with wrestling. You know, with the coronavirus, you know, going on, and wrestling being a entertainment venue that really needs, you know, people to, you know, attend, buy tickets and merchandise and all that, and that's not happening. You know, they've had to cut staff. Up to a third, if not a little bit more, of like talent at least has been released. You know, I've talked about it before. I mean, but if you're mid-card or, you know, anywhere that was just trying to maybe get a push or something, you're gone. So if you're mid-carder, it's going to be hard to, you know, try to have any reason to stay. So that moves us on to the end. So, not predictions, it's a rumor that next Sunday for Money in the Bank, that they're going to have both titles in 2 briefcases up on 2 different, you know, ladders or whatever. And we might be going back to crowning a universal, not a universal, we have that, an undisputed WWE champion. You know, they unify it like every 4 or 5 years and break it apart and go back to this, because for a while there was just the WWE Heavyweight Championship, and then Finn Balor won the new Universal Championship, which is supposed to be bigger than the heavyweight. So maybe they're going to try to eliminate that and go back to a 1-belt format. Every now and then they always get used to it. And I think right now, with how boring a lot of these shows are, I think it would be a nice twist to get viewers to watch, you know, in this pay-per-view. So I wouldn't mind seeing somebody become the undisputed Universal WWE Heavyweight Champion, which is a very long title, but that will be cool to see. So that's next week on Mother's Day, which is a very appropriate day, I guess, to have a wrestling pay-per-view. But that is it. So, you know, hey, thanks for watching the podcast. Appreciate all you guys out there staying safe, and you know, I will see most of you soon, because I know it's only people mostly that I know that watch this. So thank you guys.